Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening everybody and welcome to Apex Online Racing for some more Hype Energy F1 League action from the PlayStation 4, and it is the final round before the break for Christmas, round 14 around the famous Spa-Francorchamps circuit. It is of course the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge, and joining me in the comms box tonight for what I can 100% guarantee will be much more exciting than the actual Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it is the great Kieran McGinley. Kieran, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Good evening, everybody, and well done on the rhyme, Luke. There, that was pretty impressive. Not many things rhyme with McGinley, but you managed to rhyme Grand Prix with it. Very proud of you, and very happy to be here for our lovely Spa day, where there's no time for relaxing. It is absolutely thrashing it round the Ardennes forest with such legendary corners such as Eau Rouge and Radion in towards Les Combes, Bruxelles, as well as the new X corner, that quick left-hander before the legendary double left-hander of Pouon. Longest circuit on the calendar, 7.004 kilometers, just to make sure it's over that 7 kilometers. Why not just add a few meters onto the end of it? But a fantastic track, always delivers on the action, and I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into this one.
Yes, hopefully we'll have as good of a race as we had last time out at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And if you weren't with us for that, it was a fantastic win for our championship leader, Domi, taking the victory. He didn't do it out on track, but Blizzard's penalties did drop him down to third place. Gil showing some good qualifying form again, and he managed to convert that to a second place in the race. And what that does mean is Domi now has a 40-point lead in the Drivers' Championship, 203 for him versus 163 for BDG Gil, and Blizzard on 150 points. And you've got to say, it's definitely looking like a three-horse race between those drivers for the title.
Yeah, it can easily do that, but we're sort of only just going into that sort of second third of the season, or approaching the second third of the season anyway, so it's always going to be a little bit interesting. Let's see which drivers are able to hold their nerve out here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. It's not one for the faint-hearted, this one, as let's see Sam Gamer in the Alfa Romeo just making his way down the Kemmel Straight and on towards Les Combes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this Belgian Grand Prix. It marks that sort of last race of the year here for Apex Online Racing before we head into that winter break, and a lot of time without any racing whatsoever, Luke. So let's hope the drivers end this year at least on a high.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll all be looking forward to tonight. As you said, a fantastic circuit, just over 7 kilometres, 19 corners on every single one of them. Just as important as the previous one. You really need to have full concentration around all this circuit, and it's always a compromise with what setup you go for as well around here. You've got the very fast first sector, one of the longest flat-out ones on the Formula 1 calendar, from the bottom of the hill at La Source all the way up through Eau Rouge and Rodion to the end of the Kemmel Straight at Les Combes. And then you've also got the final sector, which is extremely quick through Blanchimont. The middle sector, though, you need to have your car set up extremely well with the downforce. So we'll see who kind of masters the qualifying setup, and there's always that risk of rain as well as we go on board then for the first hot lap in this session, and it is going to be Shizou Aero in the racing point. Let's see what he can do as he heads down the start finish straight. Very short run towards Les Combes. Crucial that you get that right. Short shifting up to third gear on the exit, trying to eliminate any wheel spin at all possible as you now head up the hill. Downhill first though, into Eau Rouge, flick it into the left there, up the right at Radion, cresting the bow at the top of the hill. Seems a bit easier on this game than it was on previous games, but definitely still a challenge to get it absolutely right in these Formula 1 cars. Topping out at the end of the straight, 207 miles per hour, so around about 330 kilometres an hour. Absolutely fine through Les Combes and Malmedy at the moment there for Aero, who in fact just took a bit too much curb on the inside of Malmedy. Heads downhill then through Bruchel to the no-name corner, Jackie X corner, Speaker's corner. It's ironic, it's actually got quite a few names in modern Formula 1. And again, you see Aero running wide there. That is another part of the circuit where drivers will have to be careful for track limits. Flying now through Pujon, getting a big slide on in that racing point there was Aero. Now we're coming up to the campus chicane, medium speed corner. You probably won't see too many overtakes through this part of the track in the race. It's all about just being nice and careful and setting yourself to get the best possible run. Coming out of Stavelot and Paul Frere, heading now up towards Blanchimont. What again, a corner that was fearsome in the olden days. In a modern Formula 1 car though, just easy flat out in the dry. If you get any rain, that could be completely different. Nice and calm there for Aero as he heads through Blanchimont towards the bus stop chicane. Changed for the 2005 Grand Prix to be a more traditional right-left chicane. Being careful of that curb on the exit. Heading towards the finish line. 104.852 then for Aero. Not a bad initial run if he'd have kept it valid, of course, as Domi now, championship leader, showing that he's still in good form with a 140.822.
Yeah, and it's so easy to let your guard down going into the last race of the year before that winter break. It's almost like you want to go into holiday mode already, but there's still this legendary Belgian Grand Prix to get over and done with. And then, of course, the first race back on the 3rd of January will be at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So it really is back-to-back, really classic races on the calendar. Just an interesting fact about Aero here, just looking back at his past and previous races, he has been, in terms of penalties, one of the cleanest drivers out there. 0 total penalty in seconds. That means that 0 penalty seconds per race. Compare that to one of the most prolific penalty getters of the championship so far, and he hasn't competed in many rounds. That's why his average is so high, with 21 seconds per race through penalties. Boss and Suso, looking at the lineup here tonight, for example, we've got Surface there, 5th place right now, 42 seconds in total, but that averages out to 4 seconds of penalties per race. So it really does start racking up, really does start adding up, as once again Aero finds himself a viewer with the track limits and invalidating yet another lap time, but I think this one's an in-lap anyway, so he won't mind too much about that one. Domi, though, in the Haas, topping the tables. Dario in 2nd place. Johan, 41-1, puts him into 3rd place. Gil in 4th, with Surface 5th, and Adesso in 6th place. 3rd row of the grid in Blizzard, invalidating the lap time, so he'll have to come back to the pits and really try again. Lee Finley out there on an outlap right now, with Sam Gamer joining him. So Coutinho out there on the medium tyres, currently on a flying lap. He's just making his way through Stavelot, this long right-hander, up to 7th, and then looking to try and get that as much performance out the engine as possible as he now makes his way in towards 8th gear, and then we head towards that long left-hander of Blanchimont. Turn in there, full throttle all the way through. Really got to be careful with that steering wheel, because you don't want to scrub off too much speed as we see those clouds looming in the distance as Coutinho brakes for that bus stop chicane. Keeping the traction nice and tidy on the exit and on the run towards that start-finish line. Coutinho, 41.9 from him, 1.1 seconds slower than a soft tyre Domi run. So that's not too bad for Coutinho. I think I'd be happy with that one.
Yeah, I'd say that's a very respectable run from Coutinho in the Ferrari. He's picked up 4 points so far this season, with an 8th position at the British Grand Prix. So he'll be hoping to get up some points tonight, and who knows, maybe if we do just get that ever-present threat of rain at this circuit, he might be able to pick up a few points. As Blizzard, he looks like another driver who is heading towards the pit lane, and if I was Gamer and Aero, I'd want to get back out again, because those clouds are starting to just look a bit threatening at the moment. Sam Gamer, he's another driver who invalidated his first run, so he decided to ditch to the pits in the early stages. And the thing is, with Spa, compared to some other circuits, obviously it's one of the longest, it is the longest track on the calendar. It's also one of the longest when it comes to time. I think only Singapore, depending on the conditions, can rival it. So you don't get as many qualifying runs as you would get at some other circuits, especially a couple of weeks ago at Austria, when you consider in the dry 62-second lap times. Here you're talking over 50% longer.
Yeah, you're talking over 100 seconds, aren't you, to try and get a lap time on the board. And of course, even 10 years ago, you were talking about 144s, 145s being amazing lap times around here. It just shows you the progress with these 2020 cars and how fast they are around these long tracks, covering just over 7 kilometers in just over 100 seconds. That is how quick these cars are nowadays, as Sam Gamer gets a little bit of a slide on the exit of Brussels there down towards X corner, then towards those flying left-handers of Pouon there, trying to keep it nice and tidy. Now that curb on the inside through the second part of Pouon, you want to keep your tyres away from that curb at all costs. Jump onto that curb, the car does not like that one bit. Those rear tyres start to spin up and you will find yourself into the wall. I'm not speaking from experience, cough, cough, he lies. But Sam Gamer now makes his way all the way through Stavelot, now onwards. Full throttle now, pretty much all the way up towards that bust-up chicane, with Blanchimont being the next obstacle. And again, you've got to make sure you're light on the steering wheel here. 199 as he entered the corner, 198, and quickly back up to 199 on the exit. So that was a nice corner there from Sam Gamer. Now in towards that bus-stop chicane and trying to get the cars turned in for that final corner. Onwards now towards the start-finish line. And where can this Alfa Romeo go? Fourth fastest, 141.149, puts it onto the second row of the grid.
Yeah, not a bad run at all there from Sam Gamer, 141.149, the only full-time driver this season yet to get any points. He has finished on the top 10 on occasion, but penalties have just cost him, so he'll be hoping to keep it nice and clean at the moment tonight, and he'll be hoping, of course, therefore, for a penalty-free run. We have got a few of the drivers on their second laps at the moment. Here's one of them, Davio, currently in second place, and it was, of course, him and Sam Gamer that had a bit of a coming together last time out at the Hungarian Grand Prix, as Davio was trying to work his way through the traffic. Did get a fastest lap in that race, but no points in the end, meaning he wasn't able to take advantage of CRG Gamers and Aero's absence. Got to say, since the Monaco Grand Prix, he's still in the pits at the moment, CRG Gamer has been a changed driver. He's been absolutely fantastic since then. Of course, picking up his first win and a pole position at Silverstone.
Yeah, and that does make the world of difference, doesn't it? Just a few good results, that's all you need to get yourself back on track and back up the order. Just having a look at Aero, he's managed to find his way all the way through. He's not invalidated his lap time so far, so this could be... Oh, it started raining. There's spots of rain on the halo, so it is starting to rain here in the Ardennes Forest. So really, this is your last chance. If you're on a flying lap right now, this is your last chance to get a track that's in really good, really prime condition. Aero now makes his way through that bus stop chicane and onwards now towards the start-finish line. He puts a 141.2 on the board, now goes onto the third row of the grid. So for Blizzard and Lee Finley, as they both invalidated their lap times, how crucial could that be for the both of them? They'll find themselves down the order if they don't get a lap time on that board. Whilst this track is really is so dry right now, it's only light rain, very light rain, drizzle almost at the Ardennes Forest, but the specs are starting to get heavier and heavier on the screen. You can just see there the Williams. It's not the greatest angle here. You can see that Aero's retired from the session straight away, and Blizzard's lost the back end there. Wow, full lock on the brakes. That's a Max Verstappen tactic of recovering the car after a slip spin there. Just full lock on the brakes and able to keep that car back onto the racing line as he now finds his way back towards the pit lane. I think, Luke, we're going to see a lot of drivers retire from this session, because once that rain starts to fall, it's a long 7 kilometres if you're on the wrong tyre here.
Yeah, definitely. I feel though for Blizzard, it might be worth him... would it be worth coming into the pits, chucking a set of the medium tyres on and setting a time? Because that would put you in 10th place on a set of medium tyres.
Well, that's a difficult one, because you can either do that, or if you're Blizzard and Lee Finley and Gamer, who haven't set a lap time yet, you can retire from the session and start on a fresh set of tyres, because you haven't actually set a lap time on dry tyres. So you'll be able to have a free range of tyres when you get to the race. Lots of drivers retiring from this qualifying session. No surprise about that whatsoever. Domi's out there currently on track. So too is Dario. So they're obviously wanting to see if the track has improved. They might as well. If they improve, that's even great. But if they don't improve, then these tyres can just be chucked away into the bin. They won't need to use them ever again, as Dario invalidates his out lap. So Johan in the pit surface, Blizzard, Lee Finley and Gamer. So the only two cars out on track with over 5.5 minutes to go is Domi and Dario. And to be honest with you, I can't see them improving their lap times as much of a miracle as it could be.
No, I think they will dive into the pits and retire. It's interestingly, though, that Gamer and Lee Finley are going for the intermediates. So they might head out, have a battle for that 10th place, and of course having set a lap time on the intermediates, because it'd be absolutely cruel to make them start a dry race on the intermediates, they will effectively get a fresh set of tyres. So we might still have a bit of qualifying action here, just not for the top 3 places, but very possibly for the bottom 3. So we can safely say the top 9 grid order now. It's going to be Domi on pole, Davio second, Johan 3rd, Sam Gamer 4th, Aero 5th, Gil in 6th, Surface 7th, Deso 8th, Cuginio in 9th. It's Blizzard, Lee Findlay and Gamer we're going to have to watch out for as Domi now makes his way into the pits, and it's all fell very silent around the Ardennes Forest with 4 minutes 50 remaining. But I think we are going to see those bottom 3 go out and try and set a time just to try and start in 10th place.
Yeah, that's a very good point you raised there, Luke. We'll have to see what tyres they emerge on, as I see Lee Findlay just looking at the graphic there, as well as Blizzard and Gamer. They're all on those intermediate tyres, but I think they'll be waiting now for that threshold. Johan retires, so it literally is the pole sitter still in this lobby right now, and then the bottom 3 in the championship. But the fans are robbed. We're all robbed of a great qualifying end here because of this rain. So unfortunate for it to fall on the track when it did. At least if it was raining and then stopped raining, we might have a really good qualifying session. But such is the way sometimes in this weather. We have 4 minutes to pass, Luke, and talk absolute waffle and make people realise that we're not actually talking waffle. So good luck with that. So Blizzard, Lee Findlay, Gamer, battle for 10th place. Could get really spicy. Now we're looking at lap times of around in the 150s, I would say. You're going to lose a lot of time, as we see there. That is Gamer, who's going to be making his way out onto the track on the intermediate tyres. Forget the battle for pole. The battle for P10 is where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, normally you want to start 11th sometimes with the alternate strategy, but here, setting a time on the intermediates, you might want to start in 10th. And let's not forget, we've had a few damp qualifyings this season. Austria, Silverstone coming to mind, and at Monaco as well. That was another wet qualifying. And I seem to remember Gamer doing extremely well and getting 2 pole positions in wet qualifying. So maybe he's the man to watch for 10th place, and then we'll be able to see what he can do in the race on those fresh set of tyres. It's just about being careful now. I mean, they don't really want to wreck it in the wall and ruin any potential confidence. We might end up getting some rain in the race, so you wouldn't want to potentially wreck a set of intermediate tyres, because we saw already the start of this qualifying session only 15 minutes ago. It was beautiful sunshine, it was t-shirt weather. Now everyone in the crowd is definitely wishing they'd brought them umbrellas.
Well, here's the thing, DRS is still online, so we've got intermediate tyres, but the DRS is still up and running. According to the stewards there, they still feel it's safe enough to run the DRS. So this is the interesting thing now. When it comes to that crossover period, the DRS will turn off. So in essence now, you're running on tyres that might be up to the conditions, just about round about there. But as soon as the DRS turns off, especially if you're going down the Kemmel Straight and that DRS deactivates, or you're just coming up to the Kemmel Straight and the DRS deactivates, you're going to lose out a whole hunk of time. Possibly up to a second down that Kemmel Straight, where you don't get access to that top speed anymore. So do you sacrifice the tyre performance in order to get that DRS down towards Les Combes, or do you try and focus on the grip you have out there? Really interesting strategy, really interesting game going on right now. All 3 of them are out there. This battle for P10 is well and truly on, and it's going to be Gamer who's going to be first to set the lap time, and he'll be hoping that DRS turns off after he's got past that Kemmel Straight. 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. So this is it. Their one and only lap in this session to try and grab that coveted 10th place. And here's the difference now, is that sometimes, as you said, Luke, you'll want P11 as that alternate strategy. Good position, but now that position becomes P10 because these drivers will be starting this race, or at least in this qualifier session, on the intermediate tyres. Therefore, they'll get free range of tyre when it comes to the race because they didn't set a time on a slick set of tyres. So here comes Gamer then, making our way through Eau Rouge and Radion over the hill. Lost a back end slightly, but Gamer snaps it back straight here as the DRS is now offline. So he doesn't really get that, or does he? No, he doesn't. That rear wing is firmly closed. So he would have rather had that now rather than halfway down the Kemmel Straight or just coming up to it. But he's invalidated the lap time. So Gamer's out of the running for that P10. Lee Findlay makes his way over the crest and onwards towards the Kemmel Straight, and he'll be trying to use all that ERS possible. So it's now down to Blizzard versus Lee Findlay for that 10th place. We know now Gamer will be starting in 12th place as Findlay now makes his way in towards Les Combes. And this is the strategy now. Do you take it easy going through Les Combes and make sure you keep it within the track limits, or do you really attack going all the way through? Blizzard, meanwhile, making his way all the way through and keeping it valid for now, as Lee Findlay's now invalidated the lap time. So Blizzard, all he has to do is crawl around the track and cross the start-finish line. He's got 10th place, but is anybody going to tell him that?
Well, he's in 10th place anyway at the moment, so he won't be too bothered what happens in this session. So it does look like Blizzard will be starting 10th, Lee Findlay starting 11th, and Gamer in 12th. And imagine they're all still going to push towards the end, so we might just get a bit of an idea of what these drivers' pace are in the wet conditions here, in the intermediate conditions, we could say. And who knows, maybe as the session goes on, if it had been a longer qualifying session, we would have seen full wet conditions. Those clouds do look rather threatening at the moment. Checkered flag is out then, and CRG Gamer crosses the line. It is going to be a time in the 1 minute 50s, or 1 minute 51 I think it was, as he headed towards the finish line. We'll see what Lee Findlay can do in that Mercedes. He's going to be fairly close to the time that Gamer's done, but unfortunately for him, it's not going to make one iota of difference. He will be starting this race from 11th on the grid in the Sol Mercedes, heads towards the finish line. In fact, no, his lap wasn't invalid. 151.754 for Lee Findlay, as Blizzard now comes towards the line, and he is going to be in 11th. So Lee Findlay just showing his pace there in these intermediate conditions, 2 tenths ahead of Blizzard, who will start 11th, and that is a bit of a blow for his championship ambitions. He was really hoping to have a good race and a good qualifying session going into the winter break, but it is an Italian IGK 1-2 in qualifying. Domi ahead of Dario Johan, continuing his good form of late with a 3rd place. A fantastic qualifying from Sam Gamer in 4th, Aero 5th, Gil 6th, Surface 7th, Deso 8th, Coutinho is 9th, Lee Findlay 10th, Blizzard 11th, and CRG Gamer is 12th. And very interestingly in that session, Coutinho sets his time on the medium tyres as well.
Yes, so it really does open up this race to be a little bit interesting, doesn't it? So we'll have to see how Coutinho gets on those medium tyres. Obviously, Blizzard, Gamer, and Lee Findlay all starting on a fresh set of tyres of their choice. So that's going to open up everything. Coutinho will be starting on a set of used medium tyres, whereas the 3 cars behind him will be starting on a set of whatever tyre they want, but fresh. So this is going to be a really interesting race for that lower down the field. And it'll be interesting to see the likes of Blizzard, Lee Findlay, and Gamer, how far up the table they can actually go. Well, we're about to find out what happens here. It's the Ardennes Forest is bathed in sunlight right now, but as we just saw in qualifying, that can quickly turn on a dime.
Yeah, we saw in qualifying, we wouldn't have expected rain towards the end. It wouldn't surprise me. With the weather we get in Belgium, we could well have dry, wet, dry conditions here. The drivers are just picking their setups now. Maybe we might see a few adjustments to the front wing and the differential and the tyre pressures. All things are allowed to change under Parc Fermé conditions, maybe to just account for the dry versus the wet. Generally in the wet, you go for a bit more of an understeery setup just to try and counter the oversteer that's naturally going to come from these 900 plus brake horsepower 1.6 litre hybrid power trains that are part of Formula 1. And Domi just continuing the good form he's been showing lately with a fantastic pole position there, as the drivers are now just going out on their formation lap. So we will check what tyres they are on, and unsurprisingly, all those that had a choice of the fresh tyres have gone for the mediums.
Yeah, and the mediums here are a good choice at the start of this race. It allows you to, when it comes to that safety car, you've then got the choice. Do you go onto the hard tyres, or do you try and extend your mediums to make the soft tyres really work at the end of the race? So going to be an interesting one. As you can see, the predicted pit stop strategy, those starting on the soft tyres, they can go onto the hard tyres from about lap 6 to get to the end, or they can wait a couple of laps and go onto a set of mediums. But Luke, when it comes to race strategy here, obviously 7 kilometres is a long, long time. If you make the wrong decision on the wrong lap, you could be punished for it with 7 kilometres of woeful regret.
Yes, definitely. If we just go just a bit longer, we know the Pirelli tyres have a tendency to go off the cliff. It can all go horribly wrong. And again, the setup choices that the drivers have made might just affect them. If they've gone for a setup that's better in the corners, naturally they'll be slow in the straight. So you might expect some of those that are not expecting to be in traffic to go for a bit more of a higher downforce setup possibly, whereas if you're further back, or you expect it to be further back, you're probably going to go for a more slippery setup, which means you can use the DRS to overtake, but probably means you could just going to wear those tyres out a bit more. I would be surprised, barring any damage, if we see anyone go for the soft hards. I think most of the drivers will go for the soft medium strategy, or of course the alternates for Coutinho, Lee Findlay, Blizzard and Gamer. They've just got to keep it nice and clean on the first laps and try not to get held up in any DRS trains, and B, make sure they don't get caught in a concertina effect and get any damage. It's a very slow turn 1 here at the last horse hairpin. You can very easily end up with cars losing end plates left, right and centre.
Yeah, and also the driver's going to have to be careful of Eau Rouge and Radion. Cold tyres, cold brakes, and the aero will not be working as well with the heavy fuel loads. Don't be surprised if you see someone get caught out just over the top of the hill at Radion, where the back end just says, no way. Take it easy, make sure you get through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time, and by the second time around, you'll find the car likes that corner a little bit more. But as the drivers make their way onto the grid, it's the 14th round here at the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, 14th round of AOR Hype Energy F1 Leagues. And if you want to see the rest of the AOR F1 action, there is, of course, PC and Xbox starting at 8 p.m. with Jess and George taking you through those respectively. But for now, before that, we've got 22 laps of this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. About 154 kilometres for these drivers to work their way through tonight, and it is Domi who has got the best possible view into turn 1. The lights are coming on. We've got 5 lights and we are underway here at Belgium. And what are the starts like? It looks like a fairly good start from the Ferrari of Johan on the second row as he tries to get alongside Davio into turn 1, but it is Domi in the lead of this race. Davio is in second. Johan and Sam Gamer are actually battling side by side now on the run towards Eau Rouge and Radion. You want to be very careful on this first lap to not make any contact, not get any damage. And the Ferrari just about stays ahead for now. Sam Gamer is having to hop over the curb to avoid crashing into the side of Johan, and that's given Aero a fantastic run on the Alfa Romeo. So he's got ahead, and Gill's trying to follow his way through in all of this as well. They're going 2 wide into Lacombe, nearly 3 wide. There's a bit of contact between Gill and Aero, but I think in the end Aero is just about going to hang on to that place. We've got a yellow flag in the background, and that is Blizzard around with front wing damage. So a disastrous start for him. He's going to have to come into the pits to get that fixed. Domi, though, keeping it nice and clean on this first lap in the lead of this race. Dario holding on to second. Johan holding on to third as we have a quick look at what the position changes are. No changes in the top 6. Surface losing 2 places, so not a good start from him. Dezo, Coutinho and Gamer all going up 1. But you've got to say Blizzard, with that front wing damage, really the biggest loser on lap 1. Surely he's going to have to come into the pits, Kieran.
Yeah, and it was one of those where he was looking on the entrance in towards Lacombe. He was battling away with Finley and Gamer all the way through. Launched a move down the inside on Gamer, which worked fine. But then as he turned in for Lacombe down the inside, Lee Finley was already there. He hit Lee Finley's side pod, spun himself around, and that's the reason for the front wing damage and the huge loss of time he has. He'll have to come back to the pit lane, put on a new front wing. The question is what tyres he does put on for the rest of this race. But a huge blow to Blizzard there for a chance of points. He'll be praying now for any sort of safety car to bring him back into this race.
Yes, he will. End of lap 1 then. Domi leading, Dario, Johan, get Sam Gamer, Aero, Gil, Dezo still in 7th place at the moment. Coutinho 8th, Surface 9th. Lee Finley in 10th. Gamer is in 11th. But Lee Finley is now battling with Surface down the hill. So Surface has had a really difficult first lap at the moment. You'd imagine he's just going to have the grit at the moment to hang on. Lee Finley, though, straight through Eau Rouge and Radion. He does not care at the moment. He's trying to fight his way up through the field on those medium tyres. Great racing respect between the 2 of them, and they have managed to get that move done. Surface trying to get on the inside again on the run into Lacombe, but he's unable to do so. So that is Lee Finley up into 9th place at the moment on the fresh mediums, of course, in the points. He's got Coutinho ahead of him in 8th place on an older set of mediums, which did do a run in qualifying. The top 2, though, just breaking away of the all-important 1 second margin at the moment. So, as it stands, Johan wouldn't have DRS down McGinley Straight next time around.
Yeah, that's a huge factor, isn't it, in this race? And so important that you stay close to the car ahead. Down the Kemmel Straight is a good overtaking opportunity if you can go side by side down in towards Lacombe. But Gamer here will be looking to try and get past. In fact, Coutinho's made an error, and Surface goes all the way through, round the outside, heading in towards that campus section, now through Stavolo, and Surface takes advantage of a Coutinho mistake and makes his way through, but Coutinho is not going to take that line down. He puts it straight into overtake mode for the ERS, and now makes his way all the way through Blanchimont, now through that flying left-hander. He is in the slipstream of the Renault. Where will he go? Will he go to the right or will he go to the left? He goes to the left, which is the outside, in towards the penultimate corner. corner, then becomes the inside in towards the final corner there. Nowhere for the Renault to go, and the Ferrari takes back that position. But look at this room formation, almost 3 wide as we head our way down towards Le Saur's hairpin. But the Ferrari grabs 9th place. Gamer takes advantage and now moves up into 10th, and Surface, after all of that, moves down to 11th place. Just an update on Blizzard. He did come into the pit lane, changed his front wing. He's now on a set of hard tyres. He'll be wanting to go to the end of the race, but that's going to be a big ask for those tyres.
Yeah, it is. He might, like you said, have to rely on a safety car or maybe a late weather change at the end. But I think if we were going to get a late change of weather, we'd have seen those start on the medium tyres, start on the hards, as Gamer gets his way past Coutinho using the DRS up into 9th place. And that move earlier on, where we saw the Ferrari and the Red Bull get past the Renault of Surface, was just made a bit easier by the fact that Surface had used his allocated DRS for that lap, so didn't really have anything to fight on the way to the bus stop chicane. So he's down in 11th, and he'll be hoping to work his way up the order. Hasn't really been the best of starts from him. Still status quo at the front. They're all pretty much spacing themselves out now. Domi 7/10 ahead of Dario, and he'll be enjoying this at the moment. Domi, he's got a 40-point lead in the championship. Gil down in 6th, Blizzard in 12th place. Going very well indeed at the moment, but we've seen how easily these races can change. A safety car, a bit of rain, a slight mistake from one of the drivers, and it could really open this race wide open.
It really could, and it's so easy to deploy a safety car here at Spa, especially if you're going over the hill at Raidillon. If you crash at the top of the hill there, the safety car is pretty much guaranteed because it's such a high-speed part of the circuit. Blizzard then picking up a 3-second time penalty, the first of this race, and I assume it will not be the last because the track limits here at Belgium are strict, especially with the exit of Pouan going over the hill at Raidillon. Going for a move there could be costly as Gil gets right up close and personal with that racing point of Aero. But we're having a look at this battle for 3rd place because Gamer here wants to try and get a move past Johan, but he's also got to be careful from Aero behind him. Over the top of the hill we go, and now down the Kemmel Straight. Here comes Sam Gamer. Johan here hasn't got the DRS to defend against this one. Gamer moves to the right-hand side of the track as we make our way now down towards the opening of Les Combes, and he's got the move done then all the way through. The Alfa Romeo now up onto the podium places. Johan down to 4th place, and now Aero senses an opportunity. He sniffs that opportunity and that position down the inside in towards Brussels. Here now alongside they go, side by side all the way through Brussels, and he's got the move done, has the Dutchman, in towards X corner. He finds himself now up into 4th place. Now the Frenchman of Gil wants to try and have a go, surely not up the inside in towards Pouan. No, there is some sense of sanity, but maybe on the second half here he gets a nose alongside. Johan runs wide and costs him that position. Gil now up into 5th place. Johan, who was in the podium places at the beginning of the Kemmel Straight, now about 10 corners later finds himself well and truly in the mid-pack.
Yeah, a bit of a nightmare lap there for Johan. He's yet to have a podium this season. He did finish 3rd out on track at the Austrian Grand Prix, but a removal of a penalty for Aero did end up demoting the Ferrari driver into 4th, and we've seen him there go to 4th, then into 5th, then into 6th. And I've got to say, I'm very impressed from Sam Gamer at the moment. Quite often we've seen him have a good qualifying session and then drop back in the early stages. That is a huge rear lock as he's come through Blanchimont, and I think Blizzard might have had another slight moment there. We just had a bit of a yellow flag, but Sam Gamer, he's not scored any points this season. He's got a fantastic opportunity at the moment in 3rd place, but he might be a bit of a sitting duck at the top of the hill here. Aero's got to be careful that he doesn't get too close to the back of Sam Gamer, because we've seen that before where drivers have had to lift off at the top of the hill at Raidillon, and then of course it kills all the momentum down the straights. But he looks like he might have timed this absolutely perfectly. DRS open, he's on the racing line, and that will be a very straightforward pass for the Racing Point driver. He's up into 3rd.
Yeah, nice and easy there with that DRS, helps him get up that position, and obviously the Kemmel Straight opens up that opportunity down in towards Les Combes to try and get that move done. But the Dutchman now moves on to the podium. Sam Gamer, as you said, yet to score points this season, will just be looking to try and get that car home as high as he possibly can. And yeah, just to confirm, Blizzard did have a moment at Pouan, which is why those yellow flags came out, but he managed to recover. No front wing damage at all for Blizzard. He carries on, but he's all the way down in 12th place. But the thing is, if there's retirements ahead of him, there's still a chance for points. So as long as he keeps his head, as long as he keeps his front wing clean this whole time, he still does have a chance of points as long as there's retirements ahead of him. But looking at the standards the other drivers are setting so far, with only 2 other drivers receiving penalties, Johan and Coutinho, it might be a tough order. It might be a tough day for Blizzard.
Yeah, it might be indeed. Like I said, he's going to have to rely on some sort of incident. Is he's round again? Blizzard, and he's got big front wing damage now, and I hope he does carry on, but it would not surprise him, and I don't think too many would fault him for coming into the pits and just retiring. He is not enjoying this race at the moment, and it's been a bit of a nightmare, really. He had that mistake in qualifying, invalidated a few laps, and then he's starting near the back as Dezo comes into the pits at the end of lap 5. First man into the pits then from the soft tyres. Will it be a set of hards, or will it be a set of mediums? At the end of lap 5, I'd imagine that's going to be hard tyres until the end.
I think it could be mediums here. I think Deso's going to go aggressive, and he is going aggressive. Medium tyres at the ready and the Alfa Romeo, and away he goes. So mediums on the Alfa Romeo, so he's pretty confident that they can keep those tyres in good nick. Meanwhile, Gil here has a chance on Sam Gamer. Both of them have DRS, but Gil, the Frenchman, has a really good overdrive then as we make our way down towards Les Combes there. Sam Gamer outbrakes himself, has to avoid the second half of Les Combes, rejoins again, and Gil, the Frenchman, manages to get his way through, picked his braking spot, and Sam Gamer just overcommitted, outbraked himself, and has lost out on that position. So the Frenchman in the AlphaTauri gets another position.
Yeah, he's working his way up through the race. Is Gil? We've seen that so often this season from him, and that is why he's second in the championship at the moment. Sam, maybe the lap before we might have been able to get away with putting the brakes on at that point, but one lap extra on those soft tyres and wasn't able to do so. He is now down into 5th and dropping back already from Gil. Aero doing a pretty good job at the moment, keeping that gap constant to the leaders, but it is still Domi out in front. 7/10 of a second from Dario at the moment, so the McLaren, a bit similar to what he did last week before he had that incident with Sam Gamer, just fairly close to Domi and sort of following along without really looking threatening. But Sam Gamer's managed to work his way back ahead of Gil, who must have made a mistake because he's now got Johan going alongside him round the outside of Blanchimont, and that is the Ferrari back up into 5th. But for how long?
Yeah, that was a mistake at Stavolo. Meanwhile, Gil then launches a move down the inside in towards the penultimate corner and now tries his way around the final corner. Still side by side we go. Gil has to do all that hard work again. He manages to get the move on Johan. Surface comes into the pits then in the Renault. But yeah, a small mistake on the exit of, I believe that was Stavolo, has cost Gil big time. But now he's in the slipstream. Now he's got the DRS on Sam Gamer once again. But this time, Sam Gamer doesn't have DRS whatsoever as we make our way over the crest at Radion and now in towards that DRS zone. Gil will be in the slipstream. He elects not to use ERS for the beginning of the straight, then uses it for the end and gets his way through. Meanwhile, the Ferrari wants to try and find a way through in Johan, but no way through past the Alfa Romeo of Sam Gamer. Lee Finley has latched onto the end and the tail of this battle at least, with Gamer not too far behind either. Both of them on a fresh set of medium tyres, and they have been running those since the start of the race. The question is, Luke, how far do they go into this race, and can they end this race on the soft tyre?
I think it's very possible they can end this race on the soft tyre. I imagine 14 laps, possibly, that's my guess, for the medium runners to start coming in. We've only really seen 2 come in off the soft tyres at the moment, and that is Deso and Surface. I think a few more will be coming in as this race goes on, and Johan got really close to overtaking Sam Gamer while all of that was happening, but was just unable to get the move done on the Alfa Romeo. And the bigger winner from all that battling is this man in the Racing Point, just coming through your picture now. Aero pretty much on his own all of a sudden, 2 seconds behind Dario, nearly 3 seconds ahead of Gil. That slight mistake could be really costly. We'll have to see if he has to do something different with a strategy, or whether he can use his expert driving to maybe make his way forward, as we are now seeing a lot of the drivers thinking that lap 7 is the one to come into the pits. And pretty much everyone, in fact everyone on the soft tyres has come into the pits, and that is now Lee Finley in the lead from Gamer and Coutinho in 3rd. We'll see if any of the drivers get held up in the pits. Hopefully they don't. Here's the race leader, Domi, on those medium tyres, and he will get out back ahead of Dario now. Aero maintaining his position. Be interested to see where Dezo comes out with all of these. He was the first driver to pit on the medium tyres. Can he get an undercut done here? He's just boost himself further up the order. He's going to have the momentum to get himself ahead of Gil.
Yeah, nice move then from the Alfa Romeo of Deso. So Gil finds himself now behind one Alfa Romeo and then comes out of the pit lane and finds himself back behind another one. But here he goes then with the DRS. Down the Kemmel straight we go, and there you can see Deso tries his best to try and defend that position, but without DRS he hasn't got a chance whatsoever. Gil, the Frenchman, then up now into 7th place. His next target is Aero right ahead of him, and 1.5 seconds, that's all the gap is to try and get a potential podium. But now with Lee Finley and Gamer both released on those medium tyres, Coutinho as well has done really well to keep up as well. Bearing in mind he's only joined about halfway through this season, he's done well so far in this race to keep those medium tyres in check. He's got a penalty next to his name, and as I say, that Gamer now gets himself one, so that brings them both now on level terms. Lee Finley, though, looking to try and break away, and again, starting lower down the order than we expect him in that Mercedes, but now leading this race, at least for a couple of laps. That strategy is going to be all important towards the end, because as we know, the soft tyres around the Belgian Grand Prix, 7 kilometers per lap, they can have an adverse effect, a really adverse effect on tyre wear as you make your way through. But they'll be hoping with the lower fuel load and the lower weight of their car towards the end of the race that their cars can be a little bit easier on tyre wear.
Yes, these three just starting lap 9, and let's not forget at the last Grand Prix in Hungary, Lee Finley got oh so close when it came to time to getting a podium off of Blizzard towards the end by going for this alternate strategy, and it looks like he's going for the same thing at the moment, nearly a second ahead of Gamer, who will be glad that he is pretty much just staying within that 1 second mark, because that's allowing him to defend from Coutinho. I think Aero must have lost a bit of time in that pit stop, because he was definitely a lot closer to Dario than he was to Gil before the pit, so whether he was just a bit too conservative on the pit entry, whether he made a mistake on pit exit, or whether he just got held up with so many cars coming in at once remains to be seen. We are on lap 9, and it is these 3 drivers, the only 3 yet to have pitted in this race. Domi 4th, Dario in 5th place, Aero, Gil, Dezo, Johan and Sam Gamer rounding out the points at the moment. Still got all the cars running with Surface in 11th and Blizzard pretty much just driving around in the hope that there is a safety car or a couple of retirements ahead. Otherwise, this has been a very frustrating evening for the Williams man.
Yeah, and he's come into the pits and put on another set of medium tyres as well because of that front wing damage that he did have. So he'll be hoping he can get those tyres now to the end of this race. He pitted a lap earlier than Deso did, so he's going to have his time cut out trying to get those tyres to the end of this race. Coutinho making a mistake all the way through that 3rd sector, and on the exit of Stavolo, spun up the rear tyres a treat there and has lost a good amount of time to Gamer up ahead of him. But other than that, he's been doing a good job, has Coutinho, all things considered, trying to get his way onto the top 2 at this moment in time. Dario, meanwhile, is trying to close in on Domi, half a second between them both as they now make their way in towards that bus stop chicane. 13 laps to go, 12 and a bit if you're picky. It is Lee Finley who leads the way from Gamer and Coutinho, all yet to stop in this race. It's then Domi in 4th place, Dario in 5th, who's just at the fastest lap of the race, 144.8. Aero then in 6th, who takes that faster lap away once again, and Gil does the same. I'm seeing a pattern here. Deso then in 8th place, Johan in 9th, Sam Gamer rounding up the top 10 with Surface in 11th place, looking to try and grab a solitary point if the opportunity comes, and Blizzard just in 12th place there, just trying to see if there's any option, there's any opportunity of a safety car that will bring him back into this race.
Yeah, that's what he's got to hope for. And it's pretty impressive that we saw Aero and Gil set the fastest laps, because when Dario set it, I was thinking, well, he has got the DRS off Domi, and that's helping him ever so slightly as Johan. He's used the DRS to make his way past Dezo, so the Ferrari back into 8th. But Aero and Gil both setting the fastest lap suggests they've got some pretty good pace on those medium tyres. It might be a bit of a struggle, given how close the drivers are pace-wise, for Aero to catch up those 3 seconds to Dario. But Gil is just over a second behind the racing point at the moment, so if he can close that gap, he will get within DRS range, and he could maybe, just maybe, still get himself a podium in this race after qualifying in 5th position. The big question now is how far can Lee Finley, CRG Gamer and Coutinho go on these tyres? They're definitely committed themselves to going to a medium soft at this point. If they're going for the hard tyres, you imagine they'd have pitted earlier, and with everyone else having gone onto the mediums, I can't see that strategy working out for them. We're just going to hope that they don't come out in a lot of traffic, because the field is still fairly close together. If they came into the pits now, they'd come out round about where Surface is, so for Coutinho, that would leave him outside of the points.
It would, and for Deso, meanwhile, as well, he's going to have to think about his teammate at one point or another, because they're both getting rather close to the car in head as Sam Gamer trying to make his way now through that bus stop chicane. Exit of this corner is so important off the final corner, as Blizzard now picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think that will be the least of his concerns at this moment in time, as he finds himself in 12th place. Deso trying to get the exit of La Source hairpin nailed down to a T, but now going down the hill onwards we go towards Eau Rouge and then up the hill through Radion. And I can't express this enough. I can't underline this enough. You don't realise how steep that hill is until you're there, until you're standing on it. Blizzard having another moment at Puon there, and I think he just lost the back end because he found himself a long way from home, but not into the walls. Still a front wing attached to that car and no damage on it, it seems. So able to carry on exactly where he left off and just hoping and holding out for some sort of full course yellow that will try and bring him back into this race.
Yeah, I think at the moment he's just pushing as hard as possible to maybe try and get a fastest lap. It won't give him a point, but it could stop one of his championship rivals getting a point as well. And Dezo, with that DRS, was just able to defend from his teammate Sam Gamer, who has now dropped back ever so slightly. The dirty air, of course, of Formula 1 cars, with these getting a lot of their performance around the corners from the aerodynamics. And while you don't get a lot of aerodynamics when you're stuck behind a car, that's a benefit in the straight because you can go faster. It's a negative in the corners because you don't get that same force pushing you into the ground. So you start sliding around more, you start overheating your tyres, and that can be a bit of a vicious circle in Formula 1 and can get yourselves in a bit of trouble. Blizzard, back into the pit again. Lee Findlay, CRG Gamer and Courinho now starting the second half of this race, and as Murray Walker famously said, half the race gone, there's still half the race to go, and it is looking like it'll be a great half the race for Domi. In fourth place at the moment, only 9 seconds behind Lee Findlay, and still dragging Dario along with him, who seems happy just to sit behind at the moment. We'd be very surprised if in the final couple of laps, if he smells a chance at a victory, he's going to take it.
You would think so, wouldn't you? As he finds himself trying to just close in as much as possible. Dario with that DRS closing ever closer to Domi as we make our way towards Lakon, but again, can't find his way past just yet. Sam Gamer finding his way back behind his teammate. We've got yellow flags. That is Blizzard, who again finds himself around, and that's damage now to his right-hand side of the front wing. So it's just going from bad to worse for Blizzard. He now lets all those cars go through before Bruxelles as he just pulls to one side, makes sure that every single car goes through. So he is now a lap down on every single car on the field. And, well, that's not going to do his championship chances any good whatsoever. He already has a mountain to climb heading in towards Belgium. He's got even higher as he's crashed into the wall, and that is Blizzard out of the race at X corner, and a safety car has been deployed. The very thing he wanted to get back into his race only came out once he was out of the race. That is going to be a huge bonus for Lee Findlay, for Gamer, and for Courinho. Big decision now. What tyre do they go onto, and do they pit under this safety car?
I think they've got to pit now and go for the soft tyres. 10 laps is a long time, but at least 2 of them are going to be on the safety car. So realistically, that's 9 racing laps. They'll struggle towards the end, but it is definitely doable. And I think if they go for the hard tyres, they might be in a bit of trouble. Will we see anyone else come into the pits? And it is soft tyres then for the Mercedes of Lee Findlay. It's going to be soft tyres for all 3 of these drivers, Domi and Dario coming in as well, and Aero. I think we're going to get the entire field maybe coming into the pits here. This has worked out absolutely perfectly. Sam Gamer has stayed out on track. He's the only one to have stayed out, and he's going to be towards the front of the race here on a set of medium tyres. He'll struggle once the safety car comes in because he won't have the same grip as everyone else, but he might still have a chance towards the end of this race. And all of a sudden, Lee Findlay is now not just the leader of this race, he's the net leader of this race. No penalties, no more pit stops to make. Really going well for the Mercedes driver.
Well, absolutely. So he's now been dealt a hand here, and he needs to try and take advantage of it. If he could get this to the checkered line, checkered flag, I should say, this would only be his second top-tier AOR win. Can he try and get that duck off his shoulder this season and try and get a win? Hasn't won here since last season at the Chinese Grand Prix, and that was his maiden win, so maybe he can get a try and win on the card here. Gamer will be looking to try and take that off him. Well, what about Courinho? This is his great chance to get some serious points on the board and try and get a podium up there as well. Sam Gamer, well, he's the only one that didn't stop under the safety car, but you can see his logic. He clearly feels he won't get those soft tyres to the end of this race, and if he wants a good position, he's got to do something different to the other 11 cars around him, or at least the other 10 cars around him. He could clearly feels then that those soft tyres won't go to the end, and maybe that's where his medium tyres will take full advantage. Maybe they will be faster on the delta pace, and he can try and take advantage of those that pitted on the soft tyres to get to the end. So very interesting strategies going on here. There's 2 strategies going on, and more than half the field, in fact the entire field but one, are on all the same strategy. So it will come down to pace here, and if any of them falter, then there's going to be one lone driver in an Alfa Romeo looking to try and take advantage on a different strategy. But we are on lap 13, soon to be lap 14, so it's 8 to go, 7 and a bit if you're picky. Lee Finley leading the way, the Red Bull Gamer in 2nd place, Coutinho 3rd, and then it's Sam Gamer in 4th. I'm always going to get those 2 confused. Domi in 5th place, Dario 6th, Aero 7th, with Gil in 8th, Deso in 9th place, and then Johan rounds out the top 10 with Surface in 11th place. And how cruel motorsport can be. The one thing Blizzard wanted was the only thing that happened once he was out of this race.
Yes, and to be perfectly honest, I think the problem is Razal. He was a lap down. Even if a safety car would have come out, he'd probably still be a lap down, unless he'd have stayed out and gained a lap on everyone. So, seeing as the F1 game doesn't let lap cars overtake the safety car, despite the entire field being bunched up together, we are going to have another lap with Bernd Mailander leading the field as well. That's bad news for Sam Gamer, good news for everyone who came into the pits. 8 racing laps on those soft tyres should definitely be doable, even with the 2 additional laps under the safety car. You can see the penalty situation at the moment. 2nd to 4th all have 3 seconds of penalties, as do Aero and Johan. There's still good news then for Domi and Dario. Definitely not out of this race, especially with the pace that they have shown.
No, well, that's going to be a huge issue, isn't it? With Deso down the field, he'll sort of be ruining that one. He did have good pace. He finds himself behind Gil once again. So he'll be hoping to try and get back up the order. But watch out then for Domi, because he will be eager to try and take that race lead back. And he finds himself all the way down. And sometimes when a safety car comes out, you are desperately hoping that you're on the good receiving end of what happens under the safety car. For Domi and Dario, they haven't put a foot wrong in this race. It's just been Lady Luck that has dealt them a bad hand at the moment. So they find themselves now down in 5th and 6th place. All to do in these remaining 8 laps of this race. 7 racing laps we think are going to be underway very, very shortly. We've got about 3.5 kilometres left to go with a virtual Bernd Mailander at the wheel. A Mercedes is leading the race, but not the F1 car. The virtual Bernd Mailander leads the field then down towards Puan, and bringing the field all the way back together for the remaining 7 laps of this race. Let us know in that comment section, who do you think is going to win this race? Can Lee Finley try and hold on to this one? Maybe you're backing Gamer to try and grab a win here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Perhaps the Coutinho fan club are here to see him try and take a win here in the top tier of AOR. Or perhaps Sam Gamer can defy all the odds against all the soft tyre runners and get his first AOR top tier win in his history. It remains to say, if you haven't grabbed your popcorn and done your seatbelt up just yet, now might be the time to do it.
Yeah, they're all going to start weaving and warming up their tyres, and what could be crucial for those behind Sam Gamer is how fast they can get past the Alfa Romeo driver. The safety car is in this lap. They won't be able to use DRS, of course, until 2 laps after the safety car. Hopefully we don't see any collisions and 5-second penalties, because then the stewards will have to remove them, and we won't quite know the order until we come back, of course, after the winter break for the Italian Grand Prix. But we've had the Mercedes of Bernd Mailander heading to the pits, and it's the Mercedes of Lee Finley that is now basically the safety car. He has to decide when to gun it out of Blanchimont, and there we go, and it looks like he's got it absolutely spot on, building a gap to CRG Gamer. Can't overtake, of course, until the start-finish line. So it is Lee Finley leading, Gamer in 2nd, Coutinho in 3rd. Getting quite a big gap, unsurprisingly, with Sam Gamer in 4th, as we are back under green flag conditions again. Domi, Dario, Aero, Gil, Deso, Johan and Surface. All the 11 runners that are still remaining in this race. It's been a clean start from everyone, a clean getaway. No one really perhaps looking close enough for an overtake, except the Haas of Domi, who again just needs to be careful that he doesn't have to lift off ever so slightly at the top of the Kemmel straight. Gives Sam Gamer a slight tap along the hill here. Sam Gamer will have full ERS. There's no DRS to defend with, of course. Domi's going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, all the way around the outside at Lacombe. He can't get that position done. Sam Gamer as late as he dares on the brakes, and now Dario, he fancied a chance there at Domi, and this is music to the ears of the front 3.
It really is, as Domi tries to desperately find a way past that Alfa Romeo of Sam Gamer, who in turn is trying to hold on for a great finish. The Canadian here hasn't got a points finish all season long. This could be his chance to grab some points on the board as high as he possibly can go. There is still a chance he might finish outside of the points. Here comes Domi. He's got a great run through Bouan, then has to be on the outside then as we head towards campus here. And you can see the Canadian's trying to defend as hard as he can here. Domi has to back out. He has to yield. And Sam Gamer holds on to that position one more time as Domi, the Italian, tries to find a way through. Can't find it through just yet. Dario is looking behind, trying to sneak away through. Here comes Domi once again then as we approach Blanchimont. He goes to the left-hand side of the track. The Haas driver is going to have to go side by side then as we head our way through Blanchimont. You can see Sam Gamer's still on the outside. Here comes Dario here trying to move now. We're 3 wide down in towards the bus stop chicane, and it's gone wrong. It's gone wrong there for Domi. The championship leader finds himself the wrong way around, and 3 wide going into the bus stop chicane was never going to end well. Dario is the beneficiary in that one. He takes over 4th place. Sam Gamer now down into 6th, and that just looked like a bottleneck scenario that was just not going to end in any good way.
Yeah, I think to be fair, they all tried to leave each other as much space as possible into the bot stop. But I think there was a bit of a tap from Dario on Sam Gamer, then of course Sam Gamer onto Domi, and another big loser in all of that, and I'm not sure whether he was just taking avoiding action, was Dezo, who now has a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. He might be able to get that removed from the stewards, but it's going to be very hard for him to score any points on the night with that penalty. And Domi, our championship leader, is around. And Gil, I think, might have made a mistake as well, because that's allowed Johan to get ahead. So that's the second mistake we've seen from Gil tonight, and he's got front wing damage. All 3 championship contenders are having an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, Gil must have got caught up in that chicane disaster incident, because now he's got not much of a front wing left, and trying to nurse that car all the way around. And this is a real chance then for drivers up and down the order to try and find those points, try and find those positions that they might not normally be able to have a chance to get. Just having a look at the order here, we've got Gamer here, who won at the British Grand Prix, didn't start last time around, could be trying to find his 2nd win this season and the 2nd win of his AOR campaign here in the top tier. How about Coutinho though? He entered tonight only having 1 point score in position to his name at the British Grand Prix, made his debut this season in Azerbaijan, but 8th place has been his best finish all season long, and here he is on the podium right now. Could this be a day for Coutinho to grab a podium, his first podium of the season? This could be a huge day for the Ferrari driver. Domi now finds his way through because of Gil, who is into the pit lane. Domi at least now in the points at this moment in time, but Sam Gamer is going backwards right now because Deso finds the way through, and Gil retires from the race entirely.
So Gil retired from the race, and I think if he'd have realised, he might have think, oh, should I have carried on? Because 6 laps to go, was out in front. CRG Gamer's got his way past Lee Finley, so he's now into the lead of this race, and he needs to stretch 3 seconds. Sam Gamer fighting his way back past Deso, so they're swapping for 6th and 7th. It's a good day to have Gamer in your name here on lap 17. Both of them managing to work their way up. But Lee Finley's just got to avoid panicking. If he stays in contact with CRG Gamer, he will get the victory. And of course, with the latest F1 update, you can see what penalties the drivers around you are on. So you don't really even need to ask Jeff anymore what penalties for the drivers around you. He's just got to stay in contact with CRG Gamer, make sure he doesn't drop back. If the race finished right now with penalties, as there was a bit of a slide there from CRG Gamer, Lee Finley would take the victory, CRG Gamer would 2nd, and it's pretty much neck and neck between Coutinho and Dario for who would get that 3rd position.
Let's just talk to you how crazy this race has been so far. Leading this race is Gamer, who's 5th place in the championship right now. 2nd place in this race, Lee Finley, is 9th place in the championship. 3rd place is Coutinho, who's 19th in the championship. If that can't sum up how crazy this race has been so far, I don't know what can.
Yes, exactly. And another thing that could sum it up is the position changes there. Gained 11 for CRG Gamer, gained 8 for Lee Finley, gained 6 for Coutinho as Gamer sets the fastest lap of the race then, with 5 to go here at Spa-Francorchamps. Can he pull out that 3-second gap he needs to take a 2nd victory, or will it be Lee Finley taking his 2nd ever victory in the top tier in AOR after China last year, battling of course with Danny Moreno, McLaren esports driver no less, and I wonder if we'd get a similar reaction from the Scotsman to what he did then. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out. I'm sure it'll be on his social media somewhere. A bit of a warning for headphone users before any of you have a look at that. As Aero now trying to make his way round the outside of Dario. Straightforward pass for the Racing Point drivers, Sam Gamer and Johan and Dezo. They're almost going 3 wide here around Lacombe. Dezo holds on to 6th place, Sam Gamer in 7th. And now this is a great chance for him, of course, to get his first point, seeing as there's only 10 runners left in this race. But he's got Johan and Surface, and I reckon Domi soon, all over the back of him.
But I hate to tell you, but they were 3 wide entering towards Lacombe, and Sam Gamer was that unfortunate soul in the middle who had to just try and close his eyes and hope everything worked out okay as 2 drivers on soft tyres emerged and hounded onto him in towards Lacombe, but he managed to make his way through, and that squeeze happened and they all made it through. But Deso now up into 6th place, Sam Gamer now down to 7th, and Johan will be inspired by that sort of move there. He wants that position, he knows he can get it, and 7th place is just tantalisingly close. Lap 18 so far, soon to be lap 19 here at the Belgian Grand Prix for the Hype Energy Apex Online Racing PS4 F1 League. It is Gamer who leads the way from Lee Finley in 2nd place, barring those penalties. Cagino in 3rd place, also with a penalty to add to his name. Well, Gamer here could get his 2nd win overall in AOR. So too could Lee Finley. So it really is going to be a tale of the minnows here. Who could try and grab that race victory? Cagino could be grabbing his first podium of the season. The only point scoring finish he's had so far this season is the British Grand Prix. He joined in Azerbaijan this season, so it's not bad for a mid-season driver. Here's Lee Finley though, who's looking to try and close in on the Red Bull ahead of him with that DRS. Is he going to be close enough to try and move? I don't think he is, but at this point in time, I don't think he's interested in going for a move right now. Gamer may win this on track, but he's got a 3-second time penalty to add to his name after this race, as Johan there looks to try and get a position there, as Sam Gamer trying to battle with him going through Lacombe. He's got the inside of that third part of Lacombe and manages to hold on. Johan though, with the bad exit, has now got Surface all over the back of him heading in towards Brussels. Surface tries to move but can't find it. Domi now tries to take advantage. He's going to be on the outside of X corner, but wisely backs out of it and still struggles. He's down in 10th place, but championship rivals have fallen on the odds here. Domi could just be trying to get those positions just to try and make this damage limitation, because whatever happens, he's extending his championship lead tonight.
Yes, if he gets past Surface with the penalties of those drivers in front and how close it is at the moment, he'll be extending his championship lead by 8 points. He will finish in that 6th position, and he's sort of in a situation where, let's say he picks up any damage or something in the next couple of laps, he can come into the pits, put another set of soft tyres on, he'd still be in 10th place, and maybe give himself a chance at getting the fastest lap point, so he can afford to maybe go for these overtakes with a bit more freedom than you would normally expect from a man leading the championship at the moment. For now though, he's trying to go all the way round the outside at the bus stop chicane. He tried it earlier when he was 3 wide with Dario and Sam Gamer. It didn't work. It went a bit better for him when he's been 2 wide with Surface, but unfortunately didn't have the momentum to get that position done though. He stays in 10th place for now. Bit of a bad exit though from Surface. Domi again really close to the back of the Renault driver, as Lee Finley really close to the back of the Red Bull. He's really close to the side of the Red Bull. He's ahead of the Red Bull. Lee Finley on lap 20 takes the lead of this race then out on track. Cubinho just trying to hang on to these drivers ever so slightly. As we see there, Domi has managed to work his way past Surface, and Johan up ahead round the outside. 3rd lap he's tried to get past Sam Gamer, and this time he's made it stick. The Ferrari up into 7th. But Lee Finley then taking the lead of this race. He wants to win it out on track.
He really, really does. And you can see now he's just trying to pull away as much as he possibly can. And he's got more than double the EOS battery deployment than Gamer behind him has. So he'll just be willing to try and use that to his advantage. He'll want to win this on track. He knows he can win this out on track. But with those penalties to Gamer and the 6 seconds to Cagino, well, he's got to try and open up a 3-second gap to Aero behind him. Otherwise, his first podium will be going up in smoke. Dario could take full advantage here, who, after those pit stops and after the safety car, re-emerged in 6th place, could actually try and find his way back up onto the podium if he plays his cards right at this moment in time. He's right behind Aero, making our way through Blanchimont. Could be an opportunity here. It's 3 to go, 2 and a bit if you're picky, soon to be 2 laps to go here, as Lee Finley makes his way out of the bus stop chicane on towards the start start-finish straight. Penultimate lap of the race has started. Lee Finley in the lead of this one. Domi, meanwhile, is trying to find a way past Sam Gamer as we now make our way on towards that start-finish straight. Domi, with those soft tyres, predictably has got more traction in those rear tyres. Down the inside he goes, in towards La Source hairpin, and he's got the move done. Domi now up into 8th place. Nice move from the championship leader as he looks to try and make this damage limitation.
Yeah, he's done very well to keep his head, Domi, and just calmly make his way back up through the field. I have seen a few of you mention in the chat how to join this league. If you check the description, as Dario has now made his way past the aero around the outside at Lacombe, if you check the description, you will find the link to the Apex Online Racing website. So that is www.apexonlineracing.com, and you can find all the information there on how to join the F1 League and plenty of other leagues as well. Dirt Rally, Gran Turismo, iRacing, R-Factor, plenty of games out there. Coutinho picks up another penalty, and that pretty much means, unless there's some incident happens with Dario and Aero, he will be off the podium, and Dario is going to sneak his way into 3rd position as it stands. Lee Finley, though, still leading the race. 1.5 laps remaining. He's going to get his first victory of the season, and I'm sure he's going to be absolutely delighted with that. And again, he's made the alternate strategy work. He got a bit lucky with the safety car, but we don't know what would have happened without that. It wouldn't surprise me, even if it wasn't for that safety car. I reckon he could have got on the podium with this performance.
I reckon he could have, but he played his cards right, and Lady Luck has been shining down on him here at the Belgian Grand Prix as he makes his way around the final couple of corners to start the final lap of this race. Lee Finley is just 7 kilometres away from only his 2nd ever win in AOR F1 as he makes his way down towards La Source hairpin. Gamer here, well, with those 3 seconds, he needs to find a way past, and then 3 seconds on top of that, unless Lee Finley finds himself with a penalty slapped onto him on this final lap for those track limits. Coutinho, well, he might have shot himself in the foot here, but nonetheless, it will still be possibly his best finish of the season so far. We'll have to see how those penalties affect as they cross the start-finish line. Aero is not done with Dario. He moves to the left-hand side, down the Kemmel straight, and he's got that move done, moves back ahead of Dario, only momentarily though, because he's got those 3 seconds worth of time penalties, so I don't think Dario was too interested in battling for that one. Domi, meanwhile, he realises he's got Johan on 3 seconds worth of penalties, Desso on 10 seconds, and possibly Coutinho on 9 seconds worth of penalties. That's possibly 3 positions there, at least 2 ahead of him. He is going to get past once he crosses the start-finish line, so he will at least get 6th place in this race, and that's not bad considering only about 6 laps ago he was facing the wrong way at the bus stop chicane. But Lee Finley, Luke, is rounding in towards this final sector, and what could be a great day for the Mercedes team.
Yeah, they haven't had the easiest of seasons so far. We've had to make Lee Finley's podium in Monaco. I believe that's the only podium they've had all season. Domi, like you said, he's on for 6th place at the moment. That would give him a 48-point lead in the championship, and that's not a bad one to have with 8 races remaining after the break for Christmas, when we come back just after Christmas and New Year then for the Italian Grand Prix. But Lee Finley, he's going to end 2020 on a high. He comes across the finish line to take the victory at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a 2nd place for CRG Gamer. Coutinho crosses the line, drops down to 5th place on penalties, so it is Dario who might feel a bit gutted after that safety car ruined his strategy. He takes a 3rd position. Aero was 4th, Coutinho 5th, and Domi did end up taking that 6th position. Absolutely fantastic race from Lee Finley. You might say he was a bit fortunate, but he took advantage of that, grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and takes his first victory of the season.
Yeah, and the in-game driver of the day is Gamer, who finished in 2nd place, but nothing will stop the dance of Lee Finley as he takes his 2nd career win in the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy PS4 F1 League. First win coming last season at the Chinese Grand Prix. It's been a long, long wait, but he is finally back on the top step of the podium. The Flying Scotsman finally gets another win notched up there in an impressive display. Yes, the safety car would have helped him, but he still needed that pace to get the win there. From 10th place on the grid to get the win here today. What a drive from the Scotsman. It's then Gamer in 2nd place for your official, unofficial results. Dario in 3rd with Aero 4th. Coutinho in 5th. Domi, damage limitation, gets 6th place there. That's not a bad drive for him at all. Surface in 7th place with Johan in 8th. The Canadian Sam Gamer gets his first points of the season in 9th. And Desso rounds out the top 10. Gil and Blizzard two championship rivals going into tonight, both not finishing the race. How crucial could that be going into 2021? But that will do it for the final race of 2020 here in Apex Online Racing. And a year to forget in terms of that real stuff. But in sim racing, here in Apex Online Racing, it has been nothing but great race after great race.
Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic race tonight. And like you said, Lee Finley taking a victory in Gamer. That's another great performance from him and Dario as well. The two drivers who were regularly getting their way onto the podium, I believe, in the races he's attended. That's now 4 podiums in a row for CRG Gamer.
Yeah, and it's incredible, isn't it? He's just shown that really good turn of pace as we head in towards this second half of the season. So he really has been showing up really consistently. What you have to remember as well is that Gamer, with that really good pace that he's got, he's just going to get better and better. He's got 1 win so far this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to add to that win even more when he goes into it for the last third of the season when we restart in the new year. But I have to say, both of them with really good pace here today. Yes, they were helped by the safety car, but when Lady Luck shines down on you, you have to take advantage. Both of them did.
Yeah, definitely. Both, like you said, probably a bit fortunate, but a fantastic performance for those to take advantage. And Lee Finley, yes, he kept it clean. Who knows whether Gamer might have fought a bit harder if he didn't have his penalty. But Lee was the only one of those top 3 to keep it clean, and that's why obviously he's been rewarded with a victory. I'm sure he's absolutely delighted as well. And that choice not to go out until the end of qualifying, now, you've got to say, looks absolutely fantastic for Lee Finley and Gamer and Courinho as well. His decision to go out on the medium tyres in qualifying, taking advantage of the fact that we had a bit of a reduced grid tonight. If it wasn't for that penalty at the end, who knows, maybe he'd have been on the podium as well.
Yeah, and sometimes that Lady Luck does not shine down on you and shines down on other people. And sometimes you just have to think to yourself, well, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. We just have to move on from it. I have to say, though, a very mature drive from Domi. Twice in that race, that first of all, the safety car coming out made sure that he was down in that midfield and had to fight his way back up again. Then he was involved in an incident in towards the bus stop chicane where 3 people bottlenecked in towards that corner, and it was just never going to end right for all 3 of them. So when it came to Domi's drive, then finding himself outside of the points at one point in this race to then bring his way back up to 6th place, just a good drive, a good champion's drive so far. And for Domi, he'll be looking to try and build on his championship lead, which he has done already. So I have to say, a great drive from him. And I believe, Luke, you're there with our race winner tonight.
Yes, we have got our race winner, a first victory of the season for Lee Finley, who has played for strategy. Absolutely beautiful tonight. You must be delighted with how tonight has gone.
Yeah, I'm very happy to get the win. That's my 2nd ever AOR win. Had 1 win last season, and yeah, I think the alternate strategy really helped because I probably wouldn't have won if there was no safety car. So yeah, I was very, very happy to get the win.
You went for the alternate strategy last week and it managed to get yourself in 4th position. Was that always the plan for tonight once you saw the weather forecast for the qualifying, thinking, I might just go for the alternate strategy and see how I do in the race?
Well, actually, in qualifying, I was trying to qualify in the soft, but I invalidated both my laps. So then, yeah, when it started raining, I thought all I could do was just set a lap in the inters and try and be the highest person on the alternate strategy, which I was, and I knew anyway that with the alternate strategy I would have a good chance of the podium, but I guess sometimes when you're on the alternate strategy, then a safety car can help you out.
Yeah, it definitely did tonight. And how high up do you think you would have got without that safety car? Because we were talking during the race, we still think a podium might have been possible for you because all 3 of you that won the medium tyres towards the back of the field were showing pretty good pace.
Yeah, I felt I could have gotten probably about 3rd because there was a big train, but the front 2 were kind of pulling away. So I reckon I would have been around 3rd without the safety car, but so yeah, would have been the podium regardless.
And Kieran, do you have any questions for our race winner?
Yes, I think I do. When you upload your Twitter post later on, is there going to be the same headphone user warning this time around?
Not this time though. I did read it in, so I'll post a Twitter video tonight on my reaction, and you'll see what it's like.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame because I was hoping you'd go full ham for it once again. But that brings me on to my second question. Obviously, it's your second career win in the top tier of Apex Online Racing. A huge congratulations to you. And obviously, I was there at the Chinese Grand Prix last season when you took that win. It was that sort of, he gave that win to you because he made that move in the pit lane. This one, it seemed like you earned this one. So where does that rank? China or Belgium? What's the better win?
I think without a doubt, China. I think in China, I felt like I drove really, really well. Probably the best I've ever driven. Whereas in Belgium, it's usually I felt like I drove well. But I think it has to be China without a doubt.
Yeah, I thought you might say that for some reason. But when it comes to the end of the year, you're on 90 points now, obviously provisionally, because we do have to say that. 90 points so far this season, a handful of rounds to go. Does this change your sort of championship aspirations? And where do you now set the target for the end of the season?
I think like the front three, I think are a bit too far ahead. So I think if I can get up to fourth, then that'd be really good because my pace was really poor at the start of the game. But as time has gone on, I'm starting to become quicker, and so I think if I get in a comfortable fourth place, then I'll be really happy with that.
Well, that does it for my side of the questions, Luke. I just want to say a huge congratulations, Lee, and enjoy the rest of your night, however you celebrate.
Oh, I'll probably celebrate with a nice beer. Nice beer too.
Well, enjoy. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations to Lee Findlay taking his first victory of the season. And while it was a great race, it was a great race for him. It wasn't so great, obviously, for some of our championship contenders. Gil and Blizzard both retiring, and Dommy, it was that 3 wide spins sort of all set off a chain reaction further down the field.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to be in the right place at the right time, as we so often say, Luke, is so often the case. But for his championship rivals here, Dommy will be feeling that, these are points gained. Yes, it was a tough race. Yes, it was one of those that you had to fight yourself for and fight that battle for. But at the end of the day, he got himself that 6th place, didn't he? So that's championship points against his rivals. That only extends his lead at the top of the table. So as far as he's concerned, that gap's nearing 2 wins. 48 points will be that gap between the first and second place spots in the championship. So whilst it might have been a frustrating race for Dommy, I think when he wakes up tomorrow, he'll think, actually, I've built my lead over the championship rivals. I think I'll take that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be, in the end, fairly happy. He knows if it wasn't for the safety car and that incident, it maybe could have been a much healthier lead, but he'll be delighted with how tonight went. And that is pretty much it then for this stream, which means it's pretty much it for me and Kieran in 2020 with AOR. If you do want to see some more action, make sure to check out the Xbox and PC leagues. They are live now. We've got Xbox F1 with Jess, PC F1 with CRG Geo, and PC F2 with Fizzymon as well. So make sure to check those out. Make sure to check out all the rest of the Apex Online Racing action in the week. But for myself and Kieran, have a very Merry Christmas, have a fantastic New Year, and we'll see you in 2021 for the final 8 races of the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 Championship. Good night.